doing for the school holidays?
Thinking, I just want to get through the school holidays feeling safe, without abuse, and with electricity. But out of my mouth comes out,
I'm going to Sun City.
mind you, I only went to Sun City for the first time when I was 25 years old. I must have been about a preteen or a teenager when I said these things. My imagination helped me, but it could have been both a blessing and a curse. It helped me escape the pain that I was born into. Everything on the outside of me was perfect. Young black girl from Soweto, going to a private school, Model C, speaking perfect English. But everything back at home and around me was not. You know, there was a period that I couldn't even eat my lunchbox with my friends. You know why? There was no electricity at home, and I was too embarrassed to eat my lunchbox in front of my friends because it smelt like paraffin, and I was scared that they were going to laugh. I grew up with a dad who used to beat up my mom every so often for nothing. And when he could no longer get through to her by beating her up, he started to beat me up to get to her. The one man who was meant to love me first hurt me. One weekend, I ran away, basically. After school, I jumped into the car with a friend of mine. My parents had no idea where I was for the whole weekend. And when I came back home that Sunday, he dragged me to the gate. And in full view of people in public, he held a gun against my head. And he said to me, "Dare me to shoot you." I remember in that moment thinking, the day I can escape from here, the day I'm old enough, I'm going to make sure that I live a life that's completely opposite to this. And if I ever have children, I'll make sure that they live a life that's completely opposite to this. When I had nothing and no one around me, and it felt like that, I had no friends. They were bullying me because they started to pick the gaps in my story because I never wanted to show them what was happening at home. The teachers were frustrated with me because I was never doing my homework. So what would they do? They would call my parents to parents' evening, but they were making the situation worse because then I'd go home and then I'd get beaten again for not doing my homework. When it felt like I had nothing going for me, the one thing that was always there was my imagination. And I thank my imagination for telling me to keep going. Maltz coined the term theory of the mind, a place you can go to inside to build your self-image and ultimately your life. A powerful internal system that you can use for the creative imagination. So what is a theater? Well, a theater really is a place you go to as a live audience to watch actors and actresses who follow an imagined story. And I like to focus on the word imagined. The theater of the mind defies logic. Logic itself is reasoning assessed according to strict principles of validity. Perhaps the very strictness of these principles of validity stops us from being the very best versions of ourselves. Well, I since learned that the theater and the theater of the mind itself have 4 things in common: scripting, rehearsals, performance, and reviews. Scripting is the adjustment of a story, usually for performance purposes. It contains information telling actors and actresses how they should act, how they should walk, how they should talk. And then the audience interprets it in their own way. I believe we're born with a script in our mind that tells us through our imagination what we really should become. But we get steered off the path along the way because we become adults who are exposed, who are disappointed, who are also outwardly goal-driven. I ask you to take a moment now to reflect who that little girl, boy, human that you wanted to become when you were playing with your little toy car or your teddy bear or your Barbie doll in your bedroom. Who did you want to become? And perhaps your scripting in life needs to steer you back there. When I explained what scripting means, I used the word adjustment. Now, adjustment is alteration and small alterations and small movements towards a desired goal. Now, I'll tell you what not to do in your script through a story of mine. Because my parents were in such a broken relationship, I didn't even want to get married. For my matric final essay, I wrote there, one of my bullet points, I will never get married. Thank goodness my mom, who's in the crowd today, found that speech in December, and I got to reflect on it. But I'm human. I wanted to fill a gap of love. So I dated the most eyebrow-raising man, guys. And when the first guy that came along said he would marry me, I fell for it. Let's get married. We had the most lavish, beautiful wedding, 250 guests. I mean, our guests took home 3 gifts each. Now, if you know me, you know that I think that's a waste of money. But you know what happened? I was trying to adjust too fast by being the total opposite of what my parents were. So the day after the wedding, I looked at this man and I thought, what am I going to do with him? I don't even love him. Because there's no more wedding planning to fall back on. Now rehearsals. The inventor of the light bulb tried 10,000 different methods before he found the right one for the invention. When his mates would ask him and say, we're wasting our time, he said, no, we're not. We've just found 10,000 different methods that don't work. When you find your goals, your dreams, your purposes, you have to try different methods before you get to it. Because you don't want to give up at 10,000. Try number 10,000 when the best version of yourself could have been 10,001. Now, when I was growing up, it's more my mom and her friends really, who said to me, I have to get into accounting. There was ladies who were accountants and they ran this organization and they called me and they said, okay, you can be our PA. I know nothing about numbers and balancing books. But what that job taught me is to be disciplined, because numbers require discipline. I then soon discovered, oh, you can study communications. And I thought I would land up speaking every day within corporate communication. Much to my surprise. But what it taught me is effort. I put so much effort hoping one day I'll be able to speak during this corporate communication. But that imagined girl who used to stand in her bedroom in front of the mirror practicing for one day when it happens, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Thami. She always used to come back. And so when you're rehearsing for your life, you still have to have the art of balance. Balance within discipline, within effort, and your imagination. Because too much of either can lead you astray. The performance part is really living out your purpose. I used to ask myself, how do I even begin to live out my purpose if I can't even discover what it is? Until the penny dropped one day. Purpose is the intersection where talent and passion meet. Let me take you to the one extreme, talent. Nelson Mandela was a talented boxer, but I think we can all agree unanimously that was not his purpose. That's probably why he lost the passion for it. Yes, he was good at it, but it wasn't the legacy he was meant to leave behind. Let's jump over to the other extreme, passion. You know that music show, where there's a category for wooden mics. You know why they have a category for wooden mics? Because they know that people who love music will come with the passion, but not the talent for it. Life has a cool way, though, of giving you the tools and resources that you need. So if you're trying to figure out what your purpose is, you need to find the intersection of where your talent and your passions lie. Soon after I had my second child, I was on maternity leave. There was a role that was open and I was next in line to get it as a communications director. Unfortunately, the business structure changed while I was on maternity leave and they merged it with somebody else's division. I was broken. The only thing short to do for me to get that role was to sell my soul. I was broken. I was hurt. And when I'm broken and hurt, I become that little girl again because nothing is going for me around me. And I go in my corner and my imagination comes back. And my imagination said, don't forget who you need to become. And so luckily I was in the communications industry and I had friends in the events industry. I picked up the phone and said to one of my friends who was a CEO for an event, hey, I'd love to speak at one of your conferences. I saw you have a conference coming up. He says, you'll never guess what just happened. We just had a cancellation from a speaker. So you can definitely come and speak. I had no cooking clue what I was going to speak about. But 3 weeks later, I got on that stage, I spoke, and I haven't stopped since. Now the reviews. You've got to continue to assess, to redefine and re-execute your life, otherwise you will be stuck in a rut. You may ask me, how do I even start to do that? I say, pick a spot in your script that you know you're not happy about. Figure out what it would look like once it pans out and you put in the hard work for it. Then once you've done that, document. The art of documenting is writing something down, not only like you would write a script, but it tells your brain that it will be possible and it's possible. Now, I talk and I speak for a living, so I record myself saying, once I've done the hard work and I put in the hard work for this part, how do I want it to taste, to smell, to look, to feel? And I continue to listen to it because the theater of the mind and my imagination believes it, and it becomes actions and it becomes me. Similar to a theater, there will always be outside reviews. People are born with opinions. Be careful what opinions you listen to. Only choose the ones you want. Never listen to the opinions of people who will never be at your curtain call. One thing about your imagination that you have to always bear in mind, though, is you have to continue to evolve with life, with the world itself. My childhood trauma, married with the theater of the mind, landed up being a blessing and not a curse. I am changing bit by bit as I continue to script and re-script my life until I can fully say that I'm not only in my lane, but I'm in my flow. I have no idea where the story is going to end, but I'm a lot closer to that vision I had when I was a little girl than I was any other time. I am now happily married with 2 children. I am so glad my imagination didn't tell me to give up. It told me to go on. I am proud of that little girl. She is me. I eventually got to MC an event actually at Sun City. And I continue to grace global stages as an MC, a moderator, and a TV presenter. Only this time around, it's not behind an underarm roll-on, but behind real microphones and in front of real cameras. If you want to become, you first have to see it in your mind. Then you have to believe it is possible. The next step, you have to work super hard to make it a reality. I am Thami Nkadimeng. Whatever I want to become, I first ask for it from my mind's theater, then from the source of life and the powers that be. And whatever I want to become, it becomes me. Thank you.